Hey
Hi,
girl,
Mo.
how are you?
I'm dying at this theme music. Oh my god.
They be trying to get us, don't they?
Yes.
They be trying to get us with this.
Wait, you not putting on the theme music?
Yeah, this
Oh,
is
okay.
me. I remember you like one of the first people to tweet me about this.
Oh my god, this show, me and Kevin, we just loved it so much. Like everything about it, we just fell in love with the show.
Right? Here's the thing. I was not ready for the finale.
Oh, the finale.
I was not ready.
I had anxiety the whole time.
I was like watching. It was like I was watching a fucking playoff like game with my team.
Game
with, like,
7.
Right, like 3 seconds left. We down 1.
Right.
Like, how did they build that up for us?
It was the long anticipation, and it was bothering me so much during the finale because I'm like, you don't know how long. What's the guy that was holding the switches? What's his name?
Gary says Zach. Zach is his real name. Is it Gary? No, Dylan.
Dylan. Yes, Dylan. You don't know
Yes.
how long Dylan was going to be able to hold those switches. So you're sitting here watching the characters like, oh my God, like hurry up and say something to the right person. Like,
To the right person. They set it up so nice. I just couldn't believe it.
oh man.
Let me see. A lot of people said they were coming.
Yeah, I'm getting a facial at 5, so I'm gonna be getting my little facial while I got this on speakerphone.
Girl, yes. We won't be here long because I have somewhere to go at like 5:30. So the episode, okay, me and you can talk since we're here. With Helly, did you know that was your girl from the jump? Because I did.
So I knew I liked her because she was the rebellious one and the one who was like, I'm not just going with the flow with shit. And that because that's how I am. But Kevin called her being somebody of importance. He caught that shit right away.
Right? How did Kevin know?
I don't know, babe. How did you know Helly was somebody of importance on Severance?
Hey, Kevin.
Mo said, "Hey."
Because of the way that the what do you call it was treating her.
Oh, he said because of the way they was treating her when she first came in.
Right? I feel like I didn't realize it until she got to she got in trouble for something and like almost tried to like kill herself, trigger warning.
Right.
And then they were like, we must take care of her. How's Helly? And I was like, what? We gotta take care of her. What's going on here?
Or even like when she tried to kill herself and her Audi was like, no, you can't leave. Like that was an indicator too, like, okay, something's going on, because any other person's Audi, I feel like if you would have heard your innie tried to kill yourself, you would have been like, okay, something's going on, like we're not going back there. But her innie was like, nah, like you gotta stay.
Right. Welcome, Tej. Welcome, Green Frog and Dan. We're talking Severance. We were just talking about Helly because did y'all know Helly was of importance? Green Frog, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, so at the very beginning, Helly was like, she just wanted to wanted to walk out, and her Audi kept on walking in. And then when she threatened her innie with, when she committed, I was like, she definitely has like a bad bitch feel outside, so we don't know what's going on.
Right?
But I remember someone responding to one of my tweets saying that, oh, maybe they're married together, and I was like, I don't think so. But I mean,
who was married? Like Adam and, or I'm sorry, Mark
and Helly. And I was like, I'm not sure, but there may be something there.
That was like, yeah, I was like, that writing would be too easy, right? I'm gonna tell y'all how I knew someone was up. When it wasn't until Ragabi showed up. Remember that character? When Ragabi showed up and she was like, "Do y'all really think y'all are different outside than you are in there?" And I was like, "Hold on. It makes sense that Helly's rebellious ass inside would also be extremely like headstrong and successful outside.
Mm-hmm.
So her outie must be someone, but I didn't know that she would be a freaking Egan."
I did not think she was going to be that. I thought she was going to be some PR person, like the person who they talked through the board with.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
what I thought. I was like, maybe she's like on the board. Welcome, Dan. Welcome, Tej. Gary. Just Dreaming. And I can't pronounce all these other names. So, what's really cool about Severance is that Severance is literally just a bunch of people walking around in hallways. Did y'all notice how much time in this TV show was people walking around in hallways?
So many hallways.
If you were to describe this show to someone, be like, this is just an extremely fun time following people around hallways. But they'd be like, what the fuck? Why would I watch a show like that? And they make it so compelling. Like, even the hallway scenes, I'm like, oh shit, where they finna go? What is about to go down?
I didn't think that the break room, like that hallway, could be so freaky. Like, it reminds me of Kubrick, you know, like, oh, that's a freaky hallway.
Yes, they shot it so well. Hallways are great cinematic sets, okay? Always take me down a hallway, give me the horror thriller feel, all of that. So let's talk about how you felt in the beginning, because the very first episode was super, super trippy. So, Dan.
What I liked in the like what hooked me in the first episode is that they clearly were not going to pull punches on the implications of what the procedure would do to someone. And I like that. You know, they were going to go pretty hard into exploring how fucked up it would be to actually split someone's memories into two consciousnesses.
Right?
And that's what got me hooked. And then I knew I was like, oh, this is gonna tackle some real shit, and I'm gonna be into it.
That's exactly when I heard of the concept, and I'll put my tweet up top here in a second. But when I heard the concept, I was like, oh, holy shit, they can go anywhere with this. Now, I did not think they were going to go, what is it? What is it called? The overtime contingency? What is that called? When you switch to your innie?
That's what's called overtime
Yeah.
contingency.
I did not know that they could give me overtime contingency, but it's so funny because I actually was thinking about, I was like, no way this is foolproof. Like, I know there's glitches in software, just like anything. There has to be a glitch in this chip. But I was thinking, like, maybe they start to, like, remember stuff together. Not that, like, there's an actual time where you can switch over, you can plan it, and we can manipulate your Audi, right? Go ahead, Miss Ma'am.
You're so funny. So the trippy thing is when the one lady was Severance during her pregnancy.
Yo.
And I didn't even catch on to that at first because I'm thinking, oh, you have to go through the elevator in order for, you to switch from your innie to your Audi and vice versa. But homegirl was Severance through a pregnancy. I'm like, wait, what is happening?
When the way they showed that, Hussein, welcome. Welcome.
Hey.
You and Miss Ma'am were one of the first people to tell me to watch this show. So
Yeah, good times. Can you hear me?
yes, we can hear you. It's a little bit low, but I can hear you. So it's so funny you say that because I knew immediately. I was like, oh shit. Well, not obviously not when she had her pregnancy and she was with her children, talking to the girl, to the sister of Mark S. But when she was out there in the snow and she didn't remember her, I said, now hold on now. It wasn't like she just walked past her in a public space. She literally had full-on conversations with her. I was
Exactly.
like, is she severed as well? But then I was like, severance seems to only apply spatially. So it's like through the physical elevator. So I was like, that doesn't, there seems to be like a portal at any time that you could go through anything and they could sever you, they could insert the chip and they could send it to anywhere.
Right.
The way they introduced that was insane to me. Green Frog?
Yeah, that was really insane. Well, and also the thing is, it made me actually think, is it spatial? Because how insane would it be for if the Egan family were able to get everyone to have that chip, and then it wasn't spatially confined.
Right. Like, you have to ask yourself, if you can get severed from your child or from your life as a parent, what space activates that? Or do you just have someone press a button for you?
I was thinking that maybe because she is obviously close to someone like that has ties to the program, with her husband being the senator that really got it legalized, that maybe she has some kind of special setup to where she can either flip her own switch or have someone flip a switch for her, as opposed to it being spatial. I think that the spatial nature of it just works for that office, but as we expand the world in which Severance exists in the next season, maybe we'll see other people who are severed, but they are able to trigger their severance in a different way, not just spatially.
I highly doubt that they would let her do it herself. It feels like that typical dynamic between a man and a woman where he's like manipulative and harmful. But then they go at the end in the gala and she's like, "Isn't it great that I can do that? That I can just like be a parent." And she's talking to Helena Egan, not Helly R. Um, so part of me feels like that man is just evil, and maybe someone else is controlling it. Because how can you set if you sign up for Severance and you can control it yourself? That seems a little bit risky. They could go there, I don't know, but
Well, it made me also wonder, like, how long was she severed during the pregnancy? Because, some women, they have, pretty troubling pregnancies where horrible, anywhere from morning sickness to, more medical attention. And so did she have any experience does her outie or whatever have access to the memory of being pregnant at all? Or was she just under for 9 months straight?
right, right.
I'm like,
It's crazy, right? It seems like I don't know who would agree to that, but I guess she would. And then they keep emphasizing that she's had 3 children. So she's done this multiple times, however it's set up. Hussein, go ahead.
No, I'm just sorry. I didn't have anything to say, but it would be crazy if it was 9 months straight, because that's like you sever yourself and it's like 2021, and then you wake up and it's a whole almost a year later, kind of. So I don't know. That's got to cause you some type of psychological distress or something. You just can't snap out of that and be like, oh, okay, right?
Which is you're a little bit low, babe. If you could fix your audio, but I think we can all hear you. I thought my initial thought was that you get severed once you give birth, because just being severed for 9 months or whatever, the switch, whatever you call it, just seems absolutely insane. I feel like she probably got severed during birth, and then like that's her any only experiences like giving birth and raising children. I don't know. What do y'all think? Go ahead, Miss Mia.
I think so. Yeah, it's either one or the other. I think that she possibly could have been Severance her entire pregnancy. I could see why someone would want to be Severance during a labor, because I've heard so many traumatic stories of women and their labors being so long, and they just don't want to remember or experience like that feeling as their outie. So I don't know, but the way I don't know, just her husband makes me feel like she was severed the whole time.
Damn, yeah, right. The dynamic between her and her husband. But again, back at the gala, she was like, "Isn't it great that I can be severed?" So it almost seemed like maybe this was an autonomous kind of approach and decision. Part of it was I was like, "Why is she so excited? She seems manipulated."
Yeah, part of
But,
it probably was, I want kids, but I don't want to remember the experience of being pregnant or having kids.
or raising kids.
That
That's
part.
what it feels. It feels like she was severed so she didn't have to raise kids. Maybe the pregnancy. I feel like if I were to be severed because of children, it would be right at birth. I'd make my innie do all of the labor and raise the children. But then I'd want to be with my children. So I don't know, but it made it seem like she was like, no, it's just good that I can be a mom over there. And in this world, I'm not a mother, which is so bizarre to me.
I think the script addresses it. I think it's less about the labor part and more about the raising the kids part, because
Right.
when you're asked, she said 3 kids, and she says, "Oh my God, how do you do it?" She's not asking how do you physically push out 3 kids. She's asking how do you manage your life as a successful woman and also have 3 kids. And so I think the reason why it's written that way is because they're trying to show you she is having her cake and eating it too. She basically has a nanny, but her nanny is her innie. And now she can go out and be a successful woman and not have to worry about who's raising the kids because the nanny's raising the kids. But
Agreed.
you get the same weird dynamic between her and Zach Cherry's character, who really, they have kids, but they don't know them. And so I feel like she's something similar. She doesn't really know her kids.
But still, similar to the elevator being the switch, you have to know when they switch. And I'm pretty sure she switches at labor every time. Do you get what I'm saying? It's definitely about parenthood, but I'm pretty sure the switch or whatever happens at labor. I don't see why her outie would go through labor and then just cut it at, oh, like when the baby is parenthood. She would cut it at labor. She'd be like, okay, that last, like, Green Frog, you brought up a good point. Like, she's probably not the whole 9 months, but maybe like that last trimester, or maybe like the last 3 weeks where the doctor's like, all right, you're going into labor, turn your innie up and go from here. You know what I mean? So Dan, do you have anything? First of all, let me ask this. We got to ask this. Would you get severed? I feel like the answer is no for most of you. But if it was reversible, would you at least try it out?
If you asked me before I started watching the show, I would have said yes. But now, after having watched the show, I would absolutely say no.
Dan?
No, I wouldn't do it.
Hussein, Green Frog?
It's a no for me.
Dang! Hussein?
I gotta say that I'd probably get severed. Now, would I get severed and work in that building? Probably not.
Right.
But if I could be severed anywhere, like the pregnant lady, then that sounds kind of, doable.
See? All right, now we're being honest. Now we're being a little honest.
A little bit weird.
Thank you, Hussein. Green Frog?
I think if I were to be asked like a few years ago when I felt like overwhelmed by certain things, I would have leaned towards yes. But now I feel pretty balanced in my life, but I can definitely understand the mindset of where I would want to do that.
Well, would you reintegrate afterwards, or would your innie just die and you'd have no recollection of it, and it would cease to exist?
I would probably want to try to integrate.
Yeah, well, in this hypothetical, because maybe I changed my answer.
Oh, okay. Dan, go ahead. What's your new answer?
Well, which is it in this exercise?
That's a great question.
So afterwards, when you reverse it, am I reintegrating like what the PD did, or is am I as the outie or the dominant consciousness kind of just dying, or the innie dying?
So did PD successfully reintegrate? I know there was a little bit of dialogue with Ragavi and Mark that she said, I'm the only one that can reintegrate. Does that mean that her innie and the innie and the outie memories merged and melded, and so you were one person?
Well, that's what happened to PD, but obviously it wasn't successful because it ended up killing him. But he did have both his work memories and his outie memories together.
But she also said he got a little sick and he didn't follow my full. So it's like when you don't go to physical therapy after a surgery, you didn't heal how you were supposed to. That's why you died.
She was just trying to convince Mark that like she could do it correctly. It was just, if he follows her instructions, who knows if that's true. Who knows? I mean, who knows if that's true?
I'm glad you asked that question. I was not thinking reintegration at all because this show has not shown us that it can successfully be done. I guess, so yes, it would effectively you'd kill your innie.
If you could reintegrate. Because
you would only do it if you could reintegrate.
No, I wouldn't. I think that would break me psychologically, like PD, and I would fall apart.
Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, no, that would be a nightmare.
Even for
Here's the thing.
3 hours.
What if you found out your innie was happy though? Like literally happy, was not working at Lumen, was really, really happy. After you severed, and you're like, I just want to try this for a little bit. You'd probably be like, I feel like I would be so empathetic to an innie me that I'd be like, all right, you stay there then. If you're really happy, fine.
Kill my ass in 2 seconds. Take over.
Because that's the thing. Like, Helly R got to talk to her outie because she's an Egan, and because, Helly Egan is a fucking, rebel powerhouse and a fucking celebrity and a descendant of Keir, obviously. But if you could talk to your innie regularly, if you weren't at a piece of shit company like Lumen, this show does a really good job of showing why people would do it, because it obviously be a political thing, like they do, like they have it written, seeing in the news and people having discussions at dinner parties and stuff like that, if this was like a real universe of ours. And I feel like I would understand why some people would do it 100%, especially when you go towards the pregnancy route. As long as I get to like video with my innie on occasion. I don't know, guys. I feel like y'all are saying no pretty strongly. But Green Frog, I like that you said you were balanced. Go ahead, Miss Mia.
I like Mark's situation where he was Severance because, he was grieving the death of his wife, which is a whole nother topic to touch on.
Right.
Like I can understand wanting your personal and work life to be separated, but for me, I'm just such a weary and skeptical person about super brand new things where I'm just like, let other people try it first, see how it works on them, and then maybe I'll consider it. But like something that can't be reversed or that they have not shown can be reversed is where my hesitation would be like, okay, is it that serious? But Mark's situation, like I completely understand why he decided to do it.
And you see what they fucking did to my guy.
And you see what they did to him, which
Oh
that's a
my
whole
God.
nother thing. Like, did they know he was going to be severed? How did they kill the wife or quote unquote kill her off? They said it was a car accident, but was it an accident? Like, what happened?
They said her body was dismembered too much. They didn't get to see her in the coffin. You know how they tried to play that to make sure that she could be inside a lumen doing the work and make him grieve outside. I'm like, oh my gosh, they have to show this. Y'all, I was stressed out. I have a whoop. My heart rate was through the roof. I was yelling at the screen like it was a sporting event. We were talking about this girl last like 3 seconds on the clock, game 7. I was like, tell your sister, tell her right now. I was like, let him tell her. I was yelling at the TV. I was like, he has to tell her she's alive. He has to be able to say this. Do not leave me with this man not being able to say that she's alive. Because that's what's such a cool concept, too. We've seen, like, oh, there's another version of you in another universe. But this one, it's the same exact body. It's the same thing. You just have separate, bifurcated memories. I think that's so incredible. So I don't know, the way they did that, the way they made her the wife, and the reason why I knew she was going to be important is because they never showed her face throughout the entire show. And even when he was putting back the picture that he tore, they wouldn't show her face. And I was like, oh hell no. Nah.
Exactly.
She's somebody in Lumen, bro. She's somebody at Lumen.
And
And
you
it's
want to
so
know
cool.
something? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
sorry. I was going to say,
No, go ahead.
I thought that it was going to be the girl who was communicating with the board. I was like, it must be her. I'm like, it's somebody that we've already been introduced to because of that reason too.
You didn't realize it, but as soon as they showed Miss Cabell, Patricia Arquette's character. Oh my God, y'all! When he called her Miss Cabell when he was at that book reading, I said, "Oh no!" I was stressed. I had to pause the TV show for like 15 minutes, y'all. I was like, "No, he did not just say Miss Cabell."
I had a friend.
She is going.
Texted me who was watching it like a week after I watched it, and he
Oh,
texted me just randomly saying he called her Miss Cobell. I was like, holy shit! It was like just
yeah.
different time of day and everything. It's like that's how that moment just knocked people off their feet.
Oh my God, I was so stressed. I forgot what I was saying. No, so yeah, so when you go home with Mark S for the first time and you're like, shit, Miss Cabell is his neighbor, and then you realize she's not severed, or if she was reintegrated. We don't know. I think she was just severed. Because I think when they were talking about PD as an issue, they said that no one's ever been reintegrated. They're like, that's impossible, you can't do that. And she was like, yes, yes, you can. And they were like, no, no, you can't. Like, you can't do that. But as soon as they saw that, I was like, we've seen every character that we need to see. The entire world has already been built, right? And so when the wife came up, I was like, this wife is in Lumen. And just like you, I thought it was going to be the board, but then they showed the board woman at Helly's gala. So I was like, shit, who is it going to be? Chukwudi, welcome. Anybody else want to come up and speak? Let me know.
Hi.
Hi.
What's the question? I came in before you after you asked the question.
Oh no, we're just chatting. We're just chatting. Right now I was talking about how crazy it was that the wife was
Oh,
the
I actually knew.
therapist.
I knew it was her. Like
How
I
did
don't
you
know
know it
how,
was her?
because like Miss Cubell, right? She kept on like insisting like he go see her like a special session and everything, and I was like, oh, like why would like she like ask just him, right? I think,
Right.
and like she was always watching, right? Like watching his like eyes, watching like his reactions to everything. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is definitely like his wife, right? She's trying to see if he's like suspicious or if he like remembers everything. So like I was like, oh, when like they showed the picture of like all four of them, right? And like it was like, oh shit, that's his wife. I was like, yeah, I knew already.
Okay. See, I was
He's a step ahead of
shook.
me.
What'd you say, Hussein?
No, I'm saying he's a step ahead of me. I had no clue. Maybe I was
Yeah,
just tired watching it.
like I said, I knew it was someone in Lumen. I don't know why I didn't. It's, you know what, they did it so perfectly. This show's so fucking good. They did it so well because before that reveal, she wasn't in the last like 2 to 3 episodes. Did y'all notice? So like you kind of forgot she was a character for a minute. Gary?
Oh, yeah, I'm about to run into dinner real quick, but I wanted to say, with regards to your earlier question of whether or not I would be, consider Severance. The only circumstance is if I was like a soldier or something, suffering with PTSD or something like
Ooh,
that.
okay.
That would be the most useful, the most useful use of Severance for me is like maybe people could maybe live regular after wartime or something.
Well, see, and that's what's so crazy because it's like the inverse of Mark S, right? Mark S is only happy at work though. Outside of work, he knows that his wife died. So you could sever, but like I'd want my innie to be like the one interacting with everybody and my like how would you separate the grief and which life would you be experiencing? Do y'all get what I'm asking?
Yeah, I get you. I get you.
Yeah, I get
Yeah,
you.
like
Yeah.
it's weird, right? Like where would your innie be and where would your outie be? Because it's the same person, it's the same body. Go ahead.
I got a question though. Well, the show has a whole bunch of questions that they left unanswered, and I think they could do really well to build on those ideas in season 2 and etc.
Oh my
But
god, yes.
one question that's really bugging me is like what they're actually doing at those desks at the computers. Like I still have no clue. Maybe I missed something, but it's just like they're firing away at those numbers and putting them into little boxes. But is it like affecting things outside of that room, or is it just something to keep them busy, or what?
So I be reading Reddit because I'm a nerd, and I be having the same questions, and I'm like, does anyone? Okay, first of all, I only read Reddit because I want to make sure I'm not too crazy, and I know I'm not because I'm like, okay, did anybody else ask this? And we're all aligned, and they kind of threw it in your face. I think that they're just keeping them busy because what the fuck would those numbers be anyways? And did y'all see that not 1989 ass fucking Kier celebration where he flies in like 360 circles at the end? I was like, they are literally just fucking with these people. You know what I mean? Go ahead, Miss Mia.
So I was reading Reddit too, and some people on Reddit was saying that they are basically, because obviously the severance is a chip, and so basically they're like messing with the numbers and like extracting their memories, and they're keeping the memories of their outie away from their innie. And so when they were down a person because PD had left, that's why Mark was kind of having these memories come back because they didn't have the bandwidth to keep their memories separated. So that's what I was reading on.
How do the numbers keep your memory separated?
So like the zeros and the ones, like I think those are your outie memories, and that's what they're throwing away. So like,
Oh
when
shit.
Helly R, they were like, oh, she's not gonna get it, she's not gonna get it in time and figure out how to get these numbers. She had tossed away all like those zeros and ones. Those are the outies memories. At least that's what Reddit was saying, and that sounded logical to me.
That sounds crazy too. Because the only kind of clarity that we've received is like from inside the innies who obviously don't know what's happening either. And I just can't believe they never question it. That's the only reason I don't think I could be severed from work, because I ask way too many damn questions, which is why Ragabi's conversation with Mark S was so profound, because she was like, do you think you laugh at different jokes in there? Do you think you're actually a different person in there? You're the exact same fucking person, which is why Heliar is so rebellious and strong-headed inside, because that's who she is outside. And I think that the only time they really talked about it was when they said the numbers that look scary, which was like, why did they use the term scary? And she was like, what do you mean scary? She was like, they were like, just, you'll see it, you'll feel it. So that's why I feel like it is something with maybe not your memories, but your emotions and your psychological state that the numbers represent or something, because the chip does something. But Hussein, go ahead.
No, I'll let some other people talk. I don't know who had their hand up first. Maybe Justin?
Justin, go ahead.
Cool. I heard bro talk about how he would only accept the severance if he like was a soldier with PTSD. I don't know if anyone remembers that like Black Mirror episode where the guy saw the people different. Like he saw people as like aliens or like something serious. I know it's like a different streaming service and everything, but y'all think like maybe in that universe like Lumen might have a purpose like that where like it will work for like soldiers, or they're probably testing people to use it as a bigger front that way, probably because everybody wants a military contract that's mad red. But just a thought for everybody.
Thank you, Justin. Beige Rose, I saw you coming in and out. You're probably having some issues. Go ahead. I see your hand up.
Yeah, I was having issues. I think that for Justin's from Justin's perspective, yeah, I think it is made for probably military people. But remember, this is Kier, the Kier family or whatever, and it started way long ago. You know, from the statues, the mural they had, this whole room they had dedicated to them. But I do think it was probably made for, you know, testing on military people. But then again, like you had all these people that are not severed. I think that's mainly who it's for, you know, like Miss Corbell and Milchek. I don't think he's severed, right?
Yeah, no, they're not severed.
Okay, and Milchek himself is issue in diversity and inclusion itself. I feel like he's like the token.
And wasn't that weird? Like, how did they decide who was severed and who's not? Like, when did you join the company to not be, or how do you get to work at, it's not just macro data refinement, because what's the other department that Bert G is the lead of?
Design, I think.
O&D? Yeah, O&D.
Optics and design.
Yeah, go ahead, Nikki B. Coolin, go ahead.
Hey, everybody. Hold on, give me 1 moment. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to say to your question about what you think they're doing down there. I don't know if everybody knows, but the Severance released like an ebook that I read that was free. And basically it alludes to like kind of terrorism. Like a lady, she was working a hard job, she quit, she got severed, it paid her 4 times her rate. And she finished the file at 12 o'clock, and then at 12:02 a truck blew up. So that it might have to. That's what some people are alluding to. And I also wanted to say that, did y'all know the cinematography? I don't know. Did y'all know this with the cinematography that at the beginning of the series everything is like dead on symmetrical, but towards the end it gets less and less like that. So just want to say those things. Thanks, guys.
Yes. No, thank you for saying that. I was talking about it earlier because this whole show is just people walking through hallways. And the aspect ratio and the way that they kept, like you said, that asymmetry continued to happen because stuff is not making sense anymore. And there's like that restructure of balance. And it's like, oh, the scales are tipped the other way. Because didn't somebody say, like, at the very end that they were concerned about Lumen? Wasn't Miss Cabell, what is her outie name? Miss Selvig is her Audi's name. Miss Selvig was like talking to Helena, and she was like, or Helly R technically. She was like, do you know what it'll do like to the company and stuff like that? And it's like, Lumen is on some really fucked up shit. Just Dreaming?
Oh yeah, I was just can you hear me okay?
Yep.
All right, cool. Yeah, just wanted to speak on like what we think the company does. So I don't think that the company actually does anything except for make this severance trip. And everybody down there is kind of just like a guinea pig, if you will. They're making this chip better, essentially, and then
Yes.
eventually they'll sell it. But I don't think that the work that they do actually is anything other than being part of the experiment.
I think so too, because I was like, okay, hold on a second. They made these founders seem like they were born in like 1800s. I don't know about y'all, but I was like, these motherfuckers was born like 1800s. This has been a family thing for a while. And then you have, Helena Egan as the daughter of the the one that was like the son of Kier. Is her dad the son of Kier or is her dad Kier? I can't remember. Either way, she's. What'd you say, Hussein?
No, I was saying he's. I think he's the son, either the son or the grandson. I think.
Yeah, she's the granddaughter of Kier, right? And so that gives you like a bit of a timeline. And it's like, so this chip, but the way they talked about the grandfather saying that the chip, it seemed like her dad is the one that implemented the chip, and that's why he's so honored, and that's why he said, oh, when you were a baby, you told me, Dad, I'm going to get this chip too. You thought it was so fascinating. So the chip is only like 30 years old. So I'm with you, Just Dreaming. I think that Lumen is about to pivot, if it wasn't before, just about this product. Lumen is pushing a product, and that's why they keep talking about Kier and Kier's children, that they're just testing this product in the beta phase or whatever before they roll it out to the entire world to use at any discretion, right? From pregnancy to PTSD to losing your wife in a car accident when she's really not dead, all of that. Green Frog?
Yeah. Well, I love that you shared that Reddit theory about them getting their own minds to try to swipe. But it makes me wonder what's going on with those goats. That's the only thing. Like, I can understand why O&D has, like, they may have people who have a knack already for aesthetically pleasing elements, so that's why they were there. But one thing that I wanted to say that I kind of stumbled on, I was listening to something on a completely unrelated podcast, and I don't know if you know this, but there is something called the Egan counseling theory, which doesn't have the EA, it's just EGAN, and it's just basically a theory to try to encourage clients to be active interpreters of the world and exploring their problems and like establishing goals. It's just like a psychological method to help people's clients, which I thought was really interesting. But with regards to them, if so, that means that, like, yeah, you can have this on the basis of supporting those who want to get severed to go through their own personal, and that's how they're selling it to the public,
Right.
bypass it. But that doesn't mean that that's their end goal.
Exactly. And that's, the evil of corporations in our world, so they're doing a great job of showing like corporations are evil. When I knew that this shit was evil, I knew the first episode or the second episode when he got a workplace injury. Those things are very serious in in my old profession. And he got a workplace injury, and they gave him a freaking gift card to a local Capital Grill, which is probably also funded through Lumen, through Severance. I was like, holy shit, this is the most insidious, evil company ever. And they lied to him about, oh, it was like a copy machine injury, or, oh, no, he was refilling the water cooler. And I was like, no fucking way. And the fact that you don't know, you just have to believe the company,
And that one of their own gifts is a finger trap. Like, how is that an incentive? I don't know.
Oh my God. Right? We have like 5 to 10 minutes left, but we have to talk about sex being like innies having sex being a thing. You never realize it, but they finally introduced that like innies are essentially 2 years old. They're just adults. They're 2 years old with adult memories is what they are, with adult memories and emotional processing. But they haven't experienced a lot, which was so cool when Irving, my favorite, John Turturro, I'm gonna let you speak in just a second, Chukwude. But when Irving was driving, I was like, he knows how to drive mentally, but he's never physically driven before. And that's why he's struggling. So I thought that was just so fucking cool. Like, this is such a cool show. But go ahead, Chukwude.
Yeah. So on that, right? Like I've been thinking. So when they ask Helen, right, or Heli R, whatever, in the beginning, right, all those questions, And then they
Right.
asked, does she remember like any US state? And she says Delaware, right? And then
Right.
Marquez is like, she got the perfect score. So I was thinking, is it possible that like when they sever your memories, they leave some like basic stuff in to like allow you to like basically function as like a real human being, right? So like being able to drive, I guess having like knowing like everything about like love and sex and all those stuff like involved, like all
Right.
those stuff is left in already, but like they remove what they can remove. So like that one thing, like knowing the state of Delaware is what they use as a test to know, oh, what we left in is still there and what we took out has been taken out, if you get what I mean.
Okay. This is why this show is crazy, because what you just said was absolutely mind fucking trippy as hell. But I've been thinking about that exact same thing, which is why I'm like, first of all, we have to say that it hasn't been removed, right? They inserted a chip. So this chip sends some sort of, I'm assuming, some sort of electronic something, and that's why I keep saying spatial, because otherwise how would this chip work? And I agree with you in some sense that if you insert a chip in my brain that is activated when I'm on an elevator, or activated when I'm having birth, or activated when I'm at home raising my children, then I'm still who I am, which is probably the beautiful question about Severance is, if I divide a portion of my memories, how are my emotions involved? How is everything else that makes me a human being, which is mostly emotion, how is that going to be implemented in my innie and my outie, right? Like, I
Yeah.
feel like the company said we only bifurcate your work and home, and that is activated by an elevator. Okay, that's activated by an elevator. If he doesn't go into that elevator, he's permanently an outie. That innie is done. If he goes in that elevator and never comes out, that innie's permanent and the outie's done. And now we realize that there's like a switch that can do overtime contingency, but you didn't divide my emotions. You didn't divide my other memories,
Yeah.
right? Like, someone asked me, like in the very beginning, they were like, well, how does Mark S know how long he's been working? I was like, aha, think about that. Getting a job is an outie memory. Working in there is an innie memory. But when you sign for the offer, you're probably not inside of the company. You're probably just at home receiving the offer. So he knows how long he's been working as an outie, because that's when he received the thing. Hussein, go ahead.
No, thinking about what you were saying about dividing your emotions as well. And I think they do. And I think linking a couple of things that have been said before about how do they know what's been, I think the term was like left out and what's been left in. But I think what we're really talking about is what's been turned off and what's been left on. I think they know that um, using that sort of opening scene test that they do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think the important thing about the entire thing is that they can sever your emotions, and that's why they try and control the environment in the workplace so much, so that you don't have an emotional response inside that can trigger your outie to come out.
You
That's
think
why
they
everything's so muted. That's why they only have like 5-minute parties. You know, most of the time on the inside, it's we're doing work. It's boring. We don't want a lot of emotional responses. It reminds me a little bit of like Equilibrium. I don't know if anybody has ever seen or remembers that movie from like 20 years ago with Tay Diggs and Christian Bale. But
I do remember that movie,
anything that
actually.
elicits like an emotional response on the inside is very much shunted and denied, including like having relationships with other people inside as well. And so, like, I think that might be also a part of the trigger for the severance is any type of similarity between the emotional state of the outie and the innie might start that. What's the process called when the reintegration process?
Reintegration, right? I think,
Yeah, so that's something to think about.
yeah, it's so interesting, right? It's like, how much are your emotions and memories intertwined? Are your memories a product of your emotions, or are they like neck and neck, or are your emotions a product of your memories? Like, it's really cool, because I agree with you. Obviously, their emotion, because whatever emotion you felt at work, right, which is what we take home sometimes. When you're angry at work, sometimes you get home, and that's when people tell you separate work from phone. Oh, I had a bad day at work, and now it's lingering at home. So clearly the emotions are severed in that way, but it's only as a result of the memories, in my opinion. So very interesting. Aaron, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. First of all, love the show. I'm a fan, super
Oh my
fan.
God, right?
One day, like
I wish I was
like
so hyped
weird.
for it.
But I was gonna say, that's an interesting point. But I'm not sure if their lack of stimuli at work was to deter emotion in order for their Audi not to become their, I guess, dominant person at the time.
Right.
That would imply that there is some, even after the severance procedure, there's still some sort of willpower.
Yes, exactly. Agreed. Oh, we getting real philosophical and biological
That's
here,
what I,
guys.
that's what I'm thinking is that but then I think it's a good point, but then it probably would negate, like, why I can't remember the gentleman's name, the one who was really about like the finger traps, and the one at the end who was
Dylan.
Dylan, yes, who was holding, the door shut and, trying to keep the switches off so that the Audis can, in the season, I mean, spoiler alert, season finale, um, if they were able to overpower the severance program, that would have made what he did not as dramatic, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean,
Yeah,
why would you have to go through all of that, sit there holding both of those controls in place, blocking that door, or like locking off that door? Why would that have been so significant if there was something? And the thing,
exactly.
a good thing that is brought up is because it doesn't sound like something that they could have addressed now, but that sounds like something I hope, if anyone was smart enough, and it sounds like that writer's room is super smart, that it's something that they probably do in later seasons, which would be really fucking dope.
It's incredible, and
It does a good thing to think about, but yeah, like I said, it would negate the purpose or the severity of him doing that, in my opinion.
Hussein, go ahead, and then just dreaming.
Quite possibly. I agree with you. I'm also thinking of like I'm not trying to sidebar or anything, but everything everywhere all the time. There's like multiple ways. I don't know if anybody's
All at
seen that movie.
once.
Yeah, all at once. Sorry. There's multiple ways for you to go through your pathways to find your multiple universes. And so maybe, there's like the quick way with the switches. Going back to Severance, there's a quick way to get your Audi to be your innie by using the multiple switches, but maybe there are other pathways for people to do that they're trying to limit. But I do agree that it might, like, if what I'm saying is true, it might dampen the emotional and the significance of it.
Right, but it's such a good point that it's something that they should incorporate, is what I was saying. I think that's a really, really dope point. But, whew, I love this.
Right? Just dreaming. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that for the idea of severance to be somewhat appealing to anybody, the any has to be like a subordinate version of yourself, right? Like you have to have control over that any. And I think that, even when we've talked about it today, I don't think that anybody would agree to sign up for severance if their any could just decide, nope, this is me now. But I think that goes into the way they design the workplace, where it's like really set up the perfect workplace to never have a strike, to never have labor organizing, anything like that. Everybody is separate. Nobody can talk to each other. So in a way, I feel like maybe eventually they sell the chip to the Amazons of the world or something like that. But that is what I saw from the way that the workplace was designed.
So first of all, this writer's room can get a lot wrong, and they have not gotten anything wrong yet, because you just made me remember. There is a way that your any can try to get out, because Helly did it. Helly tried to kill herself.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's a balancing act going on.
It's
got a lot right now, and so
yes.
Cross our fingers.
And then, like, I keep thinking about y'all talking about PTSD and coming back from the military. That's effectively, Mark S is effectively representing that thought process as well, of like what happens and why somebody that's grieving would go through the severance process. Of course, they've made it to where like they made it up because that woman is alive, and clearly we need to find out why they're using her inside. And it's also terrifying because after he yells she's alive in the what's it called, they kind of left her into this testing floor, which Irving keeps painting. And so before I close out here in a little bit, I have some hands up, but that last question I want to ask, and everyone can just kind of ruminate on it, is what they think is going to happen in the premiere of the next season regarding one, uh, his wife that's alive that was sent to the testing floor. So she's effectively fired from Lumen and she's dead in the outer world. So that means she doesn't exist. Where do they put her? And it made it seem like there was a lot of other people there. And then what they think is going to happen when Helena goes back to being, or when Helly goes back to being Helena, and essentially just what happens with all of them. Respectfully, I love John Turturro. I love the Bert G, the John Irving, or the Irving, whatever his name is, dynamic. But that was just so, that was a love and romance, which I'm usually obsessed with. But compared to Mark S's grieving and Helly's being like a fucking Egan herself, I was like, do I really care about this love thing? But they could make that super interesting.
It was cute though.
Yes, it was very cute. Beige Rose, you put your hand down. Did you still want to say something?
No, I just think that the ones that are unsevered, specifically Miss Cobell, I think she has a vested interest in it, maybe a forced interest, because in her shrine to Kier, there was someone named Charlotte Cobell on there's a certificate, and then there's tubes. I don't know what that has to do with anything, but I think maybe that this Charlotte person is maybe her mother and is probably on the testing floor somewhere. So she has a vested interest in keeping this thing going.
Ooh, I like that. I like that. Green Frog?
So I definitely wanted to say thanks first to Stress Dreamer for talking about, subordination and all that kind of stuff, because Irving is probably one of the most outlandish or not outlandish, but he has drive in the outer world. He has his own theories and a little locked cabinet and all that. And
right.
He was the most compliant worker as well.
Yes.
And so there was that I thought was really interesting. But with regards to what I think is going to happen to his wife, is there may have really been a car accident, but she could have survived, and they saw it as a great opportunity to take advantage and create a whole new person.
Oh, holy shit. What if she agreed to it?
Yeah. And so it's like she and so in that testing floor, they just may have a whole new person, put in a whole new personality, and they're just going to keep stressing that as much as possible. Like, I don't know. It's just
oh shit. Yeah, she gets in a car accident and maybe she's like effectively either brain dead or something happens. So that's very interesting. I really like that. What if she chose to be severed because she really did get into a car accident and there was something that was going to happen to her brain, but if she got severed, she could live in the any world and she would just like never get her husband again. But also it's like, it doesn't matter. You'd never get your husband again. Your any's not going to remember that you were married. Damn, that's crazy. And what'd you say, Hussein?
I said it's getting crazy in here.
It's getting crazy in here. I knew it would because this show makes you think so much. It's actually kind of terrifying, but also very illuminating. Like, what is life and what is like having a career and having a relationship outside of your career, and how do these things, like, how do our memories affect it? They just sell it really well. That like, I really do. Like, I'm sitting here and I'm like, I see why people would get severed. I really do. For some people, I see why you would do that. Real quick before I go to Nikki B. Coolin, Green Frog, thank you so much for bringing up Irving, because Irving's character was one of my favorite character developments of the show, because he was like, I knew he was my favorite when Mark S. or somebody went into O&D and he was like, oh, enlightenment above all. And Irving goes, actually, it's enlightenment beyond all. And I was like, ooh, this motherfucker is that guy at work that like knows the handbook, wants to go by the rules of the company, when you know, as a, like, you know, like the boomer in there. I know I'm being problematic, but like, you know, he's like representing that typical person in your workplace. And then immediately, because of love and romance, and because they retired Bert G, when you know that was some fishy shit as well, because why were they about to like take him to the break room the day before he was going to retire? You knew that shit was like very much, you know, fucked up. And so when he realizes that, he's the one that like knows the book and the terms to the T, and he's like, let's burn this shit to the ground. I was like, oh my god, that was perfect character writing. Oh my, I was obsessed with that. Go ahead, Nikki B. Coolin.
I just wanted to speak on what you said. What we think will happen next season. I think that instead of them going back to their Audi, it might be like they pass out or something. Because we was all on Reddit. They have screenshots of the overtime contingency, and it's like different types of things. And I feel like instead of them making them go back, they make them pass out because, especially for Helly to be speaking so passionately about how she didn't like it, for her to just flip and go back to her normal self, it wouldn't make sense. And with Mark S2 yelling about his ex-wife, and for him to just switch and be like regular, it would be confusing. So I feel like they're gonna maybe make them pass out or something to that effect. And yeah, that's it.
Okay, you think it's gonna be like a high stress thing?
Oh,
Damn, that's
absolutely.
crazy.
Like we're gonna come in swinging.
Nice. Anybody else have theories about what's going to happen next? I'm telling you that I've watched amazing television. You know, guys, I do this. Welcome to What We Watch. Follow What We Watch Film TV and subscribe at whatwewatch.net. The newsletters are fantastic. But, you know, my question is like, if they're going to go back to their Audis, right? Then it is highly dependent on everybody else that was around him that's not severed to guide them back to the innie. But or to guide them back to like figure out what the hell is going on. So, Green Frog, go ahead.
So I since we talked about really quickly about everything everywhere all at once, have you done a talk on that yet?
I have not done a Twitter Spaces on that yet, but I did a YouTube video on it. It was fantastic.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, I definitely would want to be listening on that conversation.
But, hell yeah, okay, I'll do it.
Yeah, and then the other was, do you think Patricia Arquette, Miss Cobell Selving, was sincere when she was telling Audi Mark S to leave? And so I'm curious with if she was sincere, because she flipped so quickly when she found out that it was an innie.
Yeah. You know, Miss Selvig is the type of people you got to be careful with. You can't fuck with your neighbors like that. Like, them, you know, those people like that are way too in your business, and they're very manipulative. I think she really meant it. And the reason why I think she really meant it is because I think that she thinks she can manipulate him. So she was really feeling away at the time because she was just fired. And I think that she said that to him to like, oh, okay, if you get fired, I can manipulate the situation to look like whatever, you know? Maybe I can get you on my side, or maybe I could say and get some intel from you that of what y'all have been trying to do. Because remember, Miss Cabell / Miss Selvig knows that they've been a little bit rowdy in that macro data refinement department. And so I feel like she was trying to gain his trust in that super evil, manipulative way to see how much he would share with her. Be like, ooh, so reintegration, da da da. And then when she figured out that he was the innie, I know she was like, oh hell nah. Here's how I can get back in. Because who was it talking about it earlier? I think it was Beige Rose, who was bringing up the fact that she has like this shrine. I think she does have someone, which is a fascinating theory. I love that. Someone in the testing floor, or someone that has died because of severance, or someone that worked at Lumen, or some sort of relationship to Lumen, which is why when she was fired, it was like devastating to her. It was like her entire life is her career. She's one of those types. And it's like, there's some investment there that there would be value in manipulating a person like Mark S, who, remember, Mark S is high up in his department, right? He's the head of the department, right? So like he has some sort of tenure and respect there. Obviously, it's an illusion because we're pretty sure macrodata refinement is just like testing the product. That's still my theory. So that's what I think, Green Frog. I know that was long-winded.
I think
it was perfect.
Thank you.
This is sideways, but I'm thinking that she's starting to form an emotional attachment to these people, outside of her wanting to control them. And so I think she's starting to slide into I want to protect these people too, in a bit of like a maternal role. Because there was also that issue between her and the other security guy that was murdered, um, where he would show up to her house and she would be like, "What are you doing here?" and not really try and engage with him outside of work. Like he was really invested in like protecting Severance and protecting like the business, but she had her sort of own agenda. So yeah, I'm thinking there might be some like family issue with her on like a severed or a retired floor or something like that that was mentioned before. But I also think that she's got like an emotional. She's starting to form like an emotional bond with the people that she's kind of been in charge of directly as well, and that's kind of motivating her too. So I don't know.
She's making an emotional, and that's what I wanted to clarify. She's making an emotional attachment to people at Lumen, right? The innies, not the outies. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's trying to preserve the innies, but it's like this emotional attachment that's like not considering their emotions though, because clearly the innies are miserable. But she does want to
psychotic.
Huh?
I'm saying it's a bit mentally unstable the way that she's got it.
Exactly. Welcome, Aristotle.
Hey. So I know we were like I heard we were talking more so on like whether or not we think Miss Covell's like I guess her intent is real. I kind of like I guess the entire time I've been watching, I don't know if you guys have already talked about it, but it's really weird that one that she lives next door to Mark the entire time. Like she does a lot of covert under the table type things, like especially as like the season goes on. So I don't know, I think it's a great question in that like I've been wondering this whole time, like what is her deal with Mark? Like I think they have like a really weird dynamic in that I think Mark's the only one, if you think about it, that she can see as any as well as interact with the Yaudi. So she has like this whole perspective of them as like one person, but then like an individual. I don't know. But I just I guess like to me it's like a good question in that like that's kind of the one thing I've been struggling with is like why it seems like she's almost obsessed with Mark, to be honest with you. Like outside of her job, like Mark is like a side project with her like being really involved with his family. Like that was like the only dynamic that I'm hoping in the next season we kind of get more clarity on. But yeah.
Yeah, you just triggered something for me as well that I wanted to mention before. So yeah, that's like she does have an obsession with him, right? Like she goes up to his house, she's like become his sister's um, doula and all of these things, right? But what you triggered that I wanted to sort of throw out there is like the show is playing with this idea of who are you at your core, like are you always the same person or is it environmental factors, right? It's nature versus nurture. And what I'm thinking is like the severance aspect is like, okay, on the outside you're one person, you've got all of your regular normal emotions and memories that you've always had. On the inside, is there something that might happen on the inside to make you become the person that you are on the outside again? Is that possible? And it's a bit of it is like nature nurture, but also a bit of it is like multiverse ideas as well. Like it's also kind of hidden inside of that, where um, is if one thing happens, one choice that you make, is that going to lead you to be the same person or a different person, right? And so they're starting with a blank sheet, and where does it go from there?
And that's why I think, again, not a lot of people have brought up Ragabi, but I'm going to keep bringing her up. I think she's going to be a very crucial character moving forward because she's the first person that kind of explored through dialogue what you just said, Hussein. She's like, do you really think you're a different person in there? Do you really think your innie doesn't experience and laugh at the same jokes? Like, they were trying to like tease, like, there's something there. Here's my theory on Mrs. Selvig. Sometimes the easiest answer is the right answer. Here's my theory. Mrs. Selvig is a lonely, depressed older woman. She doesn't have anything going for herself outside of a ton of power at Lumen, which is why she's so attached to Lumen, and she screamed crying when she got fired. I think she is obsessed with Mark, not on an emotional level, because I really think she's a psychopath or a sociopath at best. I think she's just obsessed with Mark through her job. I think she's just Like, I have to know, because again, if the macro data refinement is what we've been talking about, where it's just like trying to explore the memories that we can divide and the other feelings that we can bifurcate and all this other stuff, I really think that she's just like one of those people that goes above and beyond her job because she has nothing else in her life outside of that shrine, which also has to do with the job. I think that she's just attached to Mark and she's just trying to get as close as she can. Because remember, I don't know if y'all remember, she got close to the sister, but immediately when she got close to the sister, she started talking about Mark and what he does and why. So I think she's really just doing her job and one of those people that goes over the top and very annoying with it and kind of scary. But the more information she gets, the more appeasing she may be to the board or whomever it may be to get higher into Lumen. That's the only reason I think she's obsessed with Mark, is because knowing about your Audi and knowing about your innie, which she already has control and cameras all over the innie, I can know exactly how this product. I can be one of those people that has the names on it when the scholarly articles roll out. Oh, Mrs. Cobell, huge, studies on how the effects of severance are on your innie and your Audi. Like, that's my theory on Miss Selvig. So, what do we think the goats are? And then I'm gonna close out. What's going on with the baby goats? What's going on there?
Every show's got to have some cuteness.
Wait, I mean, refresh my memory, but what department were they like? Did they find the goats in?
We don't know.
It was just like that random room, right?
Was it a random room, or did someone remember the department?
I don't think there was a sign on the door.
I just remember them saying they're not ready yet.
Wasn't there also a man holding one of the baby goats, or did I make that up?
Yeah, the
Nope.
man said that.
Yeah.
There was a man. Have we seen the man in anything else?
I'll go with no.
And all right, they're gonna have to explain that. What if there's animal testing for whatever next steps they had, and the goats are that? Someone needs to like look up. I might look up like goat memory and brains and how like that might be beneficial to Lumen. If their main goal is just to push this chip out, right? No one has a theory on the baby goats. Just dreaming?
Yeah, I agree. I think the goats are just there for animal testing, and if anything, they're more of like a red herring than anything else. But yeah, I think they're just testing on the goats first.
Right? And that's why it's like they're not ready yet, because like they're gonna let it. I don't know. I don't know. Can we test on baby goats? Is that a thing? I don't know.
So wait, we were earlier talking about how there you don't erase everything. It's the adults who have the functionality, they know how to drive a car and all that kind of stuff. And so maybe with the baby, because they don't have those foundational elements, they're trying to figure out when or if there's ways to add it, like new qualities that they never had exposure to.
Yes. Like, if I divide the memories of an animal, can I make an animal behave in a different way? Like outside of being a goat? Can I make this goat do other things since it doesn't remember that it's a goat? Holy shit. I just tripped myself out over that.
I think your evil is coming out there.
But like Lumen is evil. Well, all right, guys. Thank you so much. Any last thoughts, theories? Get them out now. This is recorded. If you're right, I will come back to this recording. I cannot wait till the second season. Thank God they ended the season finale with like some sort of, like, it didn't feel like a cliffhanger, like, shit, what the fuck? It was like, oh my gosh, yes. Yes, he got to say it. All the innies got to say what they wanted to say, effectively found out who they can trust and who they can't, right? I'm super invested in this show, you guys. Nikki B. Coolin?
Yes, same. I love this show so much. I think Mark being a professor might have some further importance to the show because, like, what are the odds that? Well, I mean, maybe it's just a small town and there's one university there, but he's a professor and then he met them there, and I just feel like that might have something to do with it. And yes, I do love how the shows they leave on cliffhangers, but it's still fulfilling. It's not like, oh my god, really? It's like I can't wait, like appointment TV for real. So this was great.
Right.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for saying that. He's a history teacher too. So he might really know some things. I feel like didn't he say he was a history teacher? I feel like that was like something that they told us that was very important. And I love how we all hang on a lot of these lines because that's what good fucking writing is. That's why we've noticed. Like I love this group here because we've noticed that every line in this show is like eventually getting a response or an answer or some sort of closed loop. So we're like, why'd you say that? Why did you bring up he's a history teacher? Why did you tell him that he should leave Lumen? Like, why are you agreeing with this? It's great questions in here. Just dreaming.
My last theory is that Miss Cobell is like full time severed, and all of management is just full time severed.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I think that Miss Cobell is not like an outie. I think that's an innie, and she doesn't want to get fired because that'd be like end of her innie life.
So were there outies in the testing floor? Oh shit. Are there outies in the testing floor?
Well, it's the same body. I don't think their outies are anywhere. I don't think they ever get to go into outie mode.
Oh, so they have certain chip where the switch is just permanently innie.
I think so.
That's
They shut
interesting.
off their outie life. Well then, but then what? So when they left Miss Selvig go as an innie back into her outie life, or her quote unquote outie life. I guess she doesn't have an outie life.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if she was gonna like switch into her outie life at midnight or if she would just be a fired innie. But one of those.
It makes sense though, because again, I go back to Beige Rose. If so, then that shrine that she has, she may not actually know what that is, and that's why she was quote unquote permanently severed.
Yeah,
And something happened there with that person in that shrine, and
Yeah,
oh, I like
exactly.
that. Ooh, okay, all right, all right, all right. I see y'all. Go ahead, Green Frog.
Yeah, maybe the only time she actually has that memory is in that retirement room for that. I think you said Charlotte was earlier, and that may have been why she was also sad she would never have access to the knowing of what that like hidden emotion was.
It's
And
like when they tell you that someone dies to preserve the good memories. Maybe her outie preserved all the good memories with that
Mhm.
person, so that the outie any could experience that, but not grief. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, no, and then I'm just interested in knowing if we find out that Mark's sister's husband is a cult leader or not.
Yeah, he's just weird. Yeah. I want to thank everybody for contributing. Also thank Mo for setting this all up. What we watch hashtag what we watch and all that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, guys. Share, retweet, and join the community. It's what we watch. If you are on Twitter communities at all, we can just talk about Severance amongst ourselves in there. Um, but again, I guess my last theories are Ragabi is going to be a main character. The sister is going to get to turn up. She's a great actress anyway, so I'm so glad Mark S.'s sister got all this information from him because she's going to be crucial in the next season. She has to tell Mark as an outie what the fuck he just said to her, and like figure out how she's going to share this information because it's going to be insane. But thanks so much for joining, you guys. This was a great, great conversation as I expected. Enjoy your Wednesday. Bye.
All right, thanks everyone.
Bye.
Bye,
Thanks,
guys.
Hussein.